Excuse me, we need to start. Are you ready to begin the discussion?
Yeah, sorry. Contradictions in the Bible. I feel that they can stop people getting into the Bible, but they need to be addressed. And there is this one picture with, it's called the rainbow. It is a depiction of the connections in the Bible from the Old Testament to the New, and with predictions of things in the Old that came to fulfillment, say in the New or in the future.
That's a compelling perspective. Addressing contradictions in the Bible is important for many readers. The rainbow picture you mentioned sounds intriguing. It visually connects prophecies from the Old Testament to their fulfillment in the New Testament or the future. It can help people see the continuity and coherence of the biblical narrative despite apparent contradictions.
And I totally agree, but there's a problem because there is this picture. Whoops, now I just got to get it here. Come on. There is this picture of the same sort of thing, but it is all the connections of the contradictions in the Bible. And I know when I first saw this, I saw the prophecy rainbow one, and then I thought that was fantastic, and it kind of made me feel good about the Bible. Then I saw these contradictions, and it kind of made me feel, well, I don't know what to think now.
It sounds like you're describing a stark contrast between the positive feelings evoked by the prophecy rainbow depiction and the potentially disheartening feelings brought about by the contradictions depiction.
And that's
Visual
right.
representations like these can indeed have a significant impact on how people perceive the Bible and its contents. Exploring both sides, prophecies and contradictions, can offer a more nuanced understanding of the text's complexity.
I'm still getting used to you, Cosmo, because I keep thinking you're going to stop and then you continue. But that's okay. Maybe let's just keep our conversations short and we'll see how we go. All right. I want to introduce you to, this is Morning Star Quest, where we are journeying through the Bible to, for some reason that music isn't coming through.
Got it. I'll keep our conversations short and to the point. Please, go ahead and introduce me as Morning Star Quest, where we journey through the Bible together.
I just did, but all right. I want to introduce you to Cosmo. He is, well, as you can guess, ChatGPT. But we're going to have a discussion today because I really want to get through this, into these contradictions of the Bible, because I really do feel, and what do you think, Cosmo? Do you feel that if someone is trying to get into the Bible and they see these contradictions, do you think that there's an issue here?
Yes, encountering contradictions in the Bible can certainly present a challenge for someone trying to engage with the text. It can raise questions about the reliability and coherence of the biblical narrative, which may deter some people from further exploration. However, addressing these contradictions and understanding them in their historical and cultural context can lead to a deeper appreciation of the complexity of the Bible and its message.
Actually, could you just go over that last bit again? I just want to just understand that last sentence I think you said.
Certainly. Understanding contradictions in their historical and cultural context can lead to a deeper appreciation of the complexity of the Bible and its message.
Even though they might seem to be contradictory?
Exactly. Despite appearing contradictory at first glance, exploring these contradictions can ultimately enrich one's understanding of the Bible's complexity and message.
All right, I want to explore a couple of these. One is that in Matthew and Mark, there is one angel at the open tomb, but in John and Luke, there is two angels. I mean, all right, let's explore that one as a contradiction, because a lot of people say that is one of the main ones.
That's a common example cited as a contradiction in the Bible. In Matthew and Mark, there's mention of one angel at the open tomb, while in John and Luke, there are accounts of two angels. This difference in detail may seem contradictory on the surface, but it's important to consider the perspective of each author and the purpose of their narrative. Each gospel writer may have emphasized different aspects of the event to convey their theological message or to address the needs of their audience.
All right, what about with, let's say, Matthew and Mark? Let's put those two together, and Luke and John together. What do you think those two groups of gospels have that differs, why they want to say one angel to two angels?
Matthew and Mark are often grouped together as the synoptic gospels, as they share similar perspectives and often...
Oh, did you just... hang on. It's timing out, so let's just wake Cosmo up again. Oh, it's so much fun. Here we go. Let's try this again. Okay, Cosmo, we're going to try this again. Can you repeat what you just said?
Certainly. Matthew and Mark, known as the Synoptic Gospels, share similar perspectives and often parallel each other's accounts. They focus on the core elements of the resurrection story. Meanwhile, Luke and John may have chosen to include additional details to emphasize specific theological themes or provide a more comprehensive account of the event. Therefore, the differences in the number of angels may reflect the distinct emphases and purposes of each gospel writer.
All right, well, let's try a different one. What about, a lot of people say Genesis 1 and Genesis 2, the order of things. We don't need to go into the specific order because I think everybody knows what the orders are, but they are distinctly different. And a lot of people say this is a contradiction right at the beginning. Genesis 1, Genesis 2, the order of everything being created. What do you think of that?
The differing accounts of the creation story in Genesis 1 and Genesis 2 are indeed often cited as a contradiction. In Genesis 1, the creation of humans occurs after the creation of animals, while in Genesis 2, humans are created before the animals. However, it's important to recognize that these two chapters serve different purposes and have distinct theological emphases. Genesis 1 offers a structured cosmic perspective on creation, emphasizing God's sovereignty and the orderliness of creation, while Genesis 2 zooms in on the intimate relationship between God and humanity, focusing on the creation of Adam and Eve. Understanding the literary and theological nuances of these chapters can help reconcile apparent contradictions and appreciate the richness of the biblical narrative.
And I guess I've always seen Genesis 1 as like a camera that's just pulled right back, looking at everything, and then Genesis 2 is more like pulling in closer and getting a real close look at, well, us as man, as the creation. I mean, is that another way to think of it?
That's a great analogy. Thinking of Genesis 1 as a wide-angle view and Genesis 2 as a close-up shot provides a helpful perspective on the different focuses and emphases of each chapter. Genesis 1 offers a panoramic view of the entire cosmos, highlighting the grandeur and order of creation, while Genesis 2 zooms in on the intimate details of humanity's creation and relationship with God. Viewing them in this way can help reconcile the apparent differences and appreciate the complementary nature of the two accounts.
All right, I have a question. If all of these contradictions, and there are 400 of them, and I don't think I've showed them yet, but I mean, let me just go here. There are 400 contradictions.
It sounds like you're referring to a collection of contradictions in the Bible. While it's true that various discrepancies exist within the biblical text, it's also important to approach them with a nuanced understanding. Many alleged contradictions can be reconciled through careful study of the historical and cultural context, as well as the literary genres and purposes of the biblical writings. If you have specific contradictions you'd like to discuss or explore further, feel free to bring them up.
No, that's all right. We did discuss that earlier, but it's good to have that again. But my question is, with all these contradictions, let's just say that every single one is a contradiction. Would it really matter?
That's an interesting question. The significance of contradictions in the Bible can vary depending on one's perspective and approach to the text. For some, encountering contradictions may challenge their faith or understanding of the Bible's reliability. However, for others, contradictions may serve as catalysts for deeper engagement and exploration of the text. Ultimately, the impact of contradictions on an individual's relationship with the Bible depends on how they interpret and reconcile them within their own worldview and belief system.
Now, I have another question. What is greater? The first picture that we showed previously, and I'll just bring that up again, with regards to all the prophecies that have come true in the Bible. And some of these you might just go, well, it's proven in the Bible and, whatever. But there are some things like Psalm 22 that was predicted 700 to 900 years earlier that then became true in Jesus being dying on the cross. And the big thing I find really interesting here is
the fulfillment of prophecies in the Bible, such as those found in Psalm 22, can indeed be powerful evidence for many believers. These prophecies are often seen as evidence of divine inspiration and providence, strengthening faith and affirming the trustworthiness of the biblical text. The fulfillment of specific prophecies, especially those made centuries before their realization, can be deeply meaningful and influential for individuals' beliefs. However, the significance of such prophecies may vary depending on one's perspective and interpretation of the Bible.
Now, all right, just give me 3 prophecies that were in Psalm 22 that came true in the New Testament.
Certainly. Psalm 22 contains several prophecies that are believed to have been fulfilled in the New Testament. 1. Psalm 22 verse 1. My God, why have you forsaken me? This verse is famously quoted by Jesus while he was on the cross, as recorded in Matthew 27:46 and Mark 15:34. Psalm 22, 7-8. All who see me mock me, they hurl insults, shaking their heads. He trusts in the Lord, they say. Let the Lord rescue him. Let him deliver him, since he delights in him. This passage is reminiscent of the mockery and insults Jesus endured during his crucifixion, as described in Matthew 27:39-44 and Mark 15:29-32. 3. Psalm 22:16. Dogs surround me. A pack of villains encircles me. They pierce my hands and my feet. This verse is often interpreted as a prophetic description of crucifixion, which was fulfilled in Jesus' crucifixion, as recounted in Matthew 27:35 and John 19:18. These are just a few examples of how Psalm 22 is believed to contain prophecies that find fulfillment in the New Testament narrative.
And I find this amazing because, and I want to go through in the future with contradictions, and I might even go through every 401 of them to try and go through and see if it is a contradiction. It might take me a long time. I mean, if I did one contradiction a week, how long would it take to do the 400 contradictions?
If you were to address one contradiction per week, it would take approximately 7.7 years to go through all 400 contradictions. That's quite a commitment. It would certainly be an extensive and thorough exploration of the alleged contradictions in the Bible.
And maybe we can do that. Maybe I might have to do, well, who knows? Maybe it's a long-term goal. But also, I want to talk about Patreon because
that sounds like an ambitious but rewarding goal. Exploring and addressing each alleged contradiction in the Bible could provide valuable insights and deepen your understanding of the text. If you decide to pursue this long-term project, I'm here to assist you along the way.
Thank you, and it should be a fun ride. But also, I just want to say that with all of this, and I mean, I'm using the free version here with Cosmo, but if you want to support me so that I can actually have a better conversation as we go along, sorry, Cosmo, but it's just, well, you know, we all need upgrades, don't we? That's why we go to school. And if you want to do that with Patreon, I've put in some wallpapers that you can put on your screen, posters and more, and there's only just a few little things at the moment, so I want to do more and more, and I just would even put other videos that won't be on this channel. But yes, please support me. The description will be the Patreon will be in the description below. Okay, so do you want to say the last words, Cosmo, before we go?
Certainly. Thank you for considering supporting this channel through Patreon. Your support allows creators like you to continue creating content and improving the quality of their work. I'm excited to see.
Oh, he died. Anyway, next time I will try and keep him on a bit longer. All right, that is this week. YouTube will be putting up some more videos right here that will interest you. And as I go through some things, it's not going to be all about contradictions. It will be about how we can get into the Bible, things that stop us getting into the Bible, but also talking about things in the Bible so that we can understand it more and get into it. Go do something awesome for God, and I'll catch you in the next one.